I'm sitting in the Chabad house in Minnesota, and the phone rings, and there's a guy with a heavy Indian accent. He says, "Are you a Mekubal?" Yeah. I said, I thought it was my brother being funny. I said, yes. He says, do you do exorcism? You know what that is?
Yeah.
Chasing out a dibuk from a... I said, yeah, of course. I'm waiting for his... You know, what's the joke? He says, you think you can help my wife? I said, sure. I'm playing along with the joke, right?
But it wasn't a joke.
The guy says, okay, we'll be there in 40 minutes, and he hangs up the phone.
You realize it wasn't Z100. He wasn't faking you.
He wasn't faking. 40 minutes later, a car pulls up,
Oh my gosh, pop it up.
and this man comes out with his wife. They're from Israel. They're Israeli. He moved to Israel, and she looks horrible. I mean, she looks. Yeah, if you've never seen a person who is possessed by a dibuk, scary looking. I thought. We go inside, and she tells me the story.
What's the story?
She and her husband are meditators. And it happens among meditators that when they empty their mind, something takes over. So for 3 years, she has this entity, this thing in her head, and it's making her crazy. First, it started off with just like she heard like a voice, and she ignored it. It got stronger and stronger, and they went to healers and psychics and witches, and nothing helped. They went to Mekubolim, and they had kameyas, and they put things under their tongue, and they checked the mezuzahs. Getting worse and worse.
Meditate it out.
This thing is telling her that he's not going to let go until she kills her kids and then kills herself.
Why does it just kill
She
yourself
has
right away?
kids? She had kids?
Obviously.
So
Just kill yourself right away.
they were getting really, really desperate. At night, she becomes violent, and she's strong like 10 men. And
Well, it's not her. It's
This
the
is man
book.
very small on her bed.
She's the man in the house.
That's it. Dibuk. Was the Dibuk a man?
so, man, so they were so desperate that they decided to come to Minnesota, because when he was in the army, in the Israeli army, they sent him to Minnesota to learn computers. Because Minnesota used to be the center for computers, when the computers were like old-fashioned,
Control for computers.
huge. So he knew Minnesota. And when he was here, as a soldier, he went to psychics. Because that's what they do in India, I guess. So he thought maybe somebody here can help. So he got a job so that he could be here legally. And they came to Minnesota. They went to a psychic. And the psychic started doing whatever hocus pocus. And suddenly the psychic said, you got to leave. You got to leave now. Get out. It's too strong for me. It's starting to get me. So they panicked completely. And they realized that psychics are not going to help. It has to be something from Kabbalah. So they looked in the phone book for Kabbalists. And of course, all the Mekubalim in Minnesota are not listed. So she looked up synagogues, and they called the Reform Temple, and they said, where can we find a Mekubal? So they said, call Chabad. So that's how they ended up calling the Chabad house. Anyways, I'm sitting there, and I can't look at her. She's horrible. But she, she talks normal, but she looked like she had died and nobody told her. You know what I mean?
A zombie.
Like a zombie. Anyway, so I said to her, listen, I didn't realize how serious this was over the telephone. But if you really want help, give me your name and your mother's name.
How long ago was it?
This was in the 80s, I think.
Oh, it's Rebbe.
Why don't you write the figures?
So I said, give me your name and your mother's name, and I'll write to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe will help you, but on the condition that you promise me now that whatever the Rebbe says you'll do. And of course they promised. Wrote into the Rebbe exactly the way she described it. I didn't say, there's a Meshuggah here who thinks you... I said, there's a woman, there's an entity, exactly the way she said it. She has a dibuk, there's a thing in her, whatever. Got an answer within an hour. The Rebbe's answer was, Diyuk b'kashrus ho'achil v'shtiya. Be careful that what you eat and drink is kosher.
Jew?
Huh?
Obviously.
She Jew?
Yeah.
Rebbe called you?
The office called, Rabbi Klein, I
Are
think.
you the next person to tell you
Huh?
You gotta do it.
So I call him up.
Trying to scare them.
This was on a Friday.
Doesn't matter.
I call him up, and I said, listen, this is the Rebbe's answer. You have to be very careful with kosher. He says, what's kosher? I had no idea.
Yeah.
And it was late on Friday,
If she has a dibuk on her, they have to take it out of her. What do you mean? Eat kosher, it's gonna fly out?
so
Out of her ear.
there was no time to go to their house or whatever before Shabbos. So I said, go down to the store, buy a box of matzah and sardines. And that's all you're going to eat for Shabbos. After Shabbos, we'll straighten out the kitchen. I'll tell you what kosher is. We'll make everything good. Anyway, after Shabbos, I call him up. I said, how'd you get through the Shabbos? He says, no, it was fine. I went down to the store, and there was a guy there with a yarmulke, and he showed me, oh, you, okay. We had plenty to eat for Shabbos. Okay. We went there, we kashered everything, it was fine. 2 weeks later, I call him up, how's everything? Much better. A few months later was Pesach. So we invited them to come for the Seder to the Chabad house. I'm in the Chabad house, Erev Pesach, we're setting up the tables, and this woman walks in. I said, hi, what can I do for you? She says, I'm here for the Seder. I said, did you make a reservation? She said, you asked me to come. I did not recognize her at all. She was like normal. When she was crazy, her children the children had to move out of the house because she was dangerous.
She beat them up.
Now they moved back into the house. They moved back into the house, and everything is. She can even drive a car. Things are. Yep.
A zombie driving the car.
Motzei Yontif. As soon as Yontif was over, the phone rings, and it's this guy, David. He says, I couldn't wait to call you. I had to tell you what happened. He lost his job. And he's not legal. Without the job, he's on a work visa. So without the job, he has to go back to Israel.
Oh, that's good.
But if he goes back to Israel, his kids are army age, And he's against, he's a pacifist. He's against war. So he doesn't want his
He
kids.
was in the army.
He was. But that's before he started meditating.
Yeah.
And
And
they don't,
Meditate?
that's how she got the difficult.
they don't want their kids to go to the army, so they don't want to go back to Israel. But he's illegal.
Your friend.
So he said,
Friend with him now? Your friend with the guy now?
So he said, I went to the psychic to ask what I should do about a job. He said, I couldn't wait to tell you what the psychic said. The psychic went into a trance.
Psychic is not Jewish.
No. Went into a trance and started saying, oh, your wife is in big trouble. And she's getting a lot of energy from this man. And she started describing the Rebbe. She said, I feel it even from you. Even you're getting strength. And she says, this Rebbe, this man, he didn't even need to be born. He's only here to help others. And he's very tall, very straight. And he's very old. Like thousands of years old. Anyway, she described the Rebbe. He said, I couldn't wait to call you. I said, what did she tell you? She said, this is who you need to go to. He said, yeah, we wrote to him. He said to keep kosher. So she said, the psychic, she said, that's all? Do it. He said, yeah, we're doing it. He was very simple. He said, yeah, we're doing it. It's just the milk. We didn't have any Cholav Yisrael back then in the stores. Only we went to the farm and we made our own milk. So he said, the milk, you have to go all the way to St. Paul every time we want. So with the milk, so she started screaming at him. He's giving you this energy. But if you don't keep kosher, his energy can't enter you. So do it. Get a freezer. This is the shiksa saying, get a freezer and freeze a month's worth of milk at a time, and you'll have milk. He says, okay, I'll do it. Anyway, I thought, that's a great story. I got to tell everybody. But this guy's a little weird. I don't know if I can trust this whole... I said, are you going back to her? He said, yeah, on Wednesday. I said, can I come? He said, sure. So Wednesday, I drive out there to meet him in this bookstore that sells all these weird books. And I'm thinking, I'm going to see a psychic. You know what they look like, right?
No.
Old, with a long nose, with a big pimple. Yeah, come on, you know. Oh, dressed in black with a big pot. Anyway, I walk into the store. There's this young woman there with a cigarette. Typical.
That's our days.
I said, that's a psychic. Disappointed. Anyway, I walk up to her and I say, I understand that you described the rabbi in Brooklyn to David. She says, yes, he's very old. He didn't even need to be born. He's only here to help other people. He's very straight. He stands and he's giving them a lot of energy. So I said, do you always remember what you see in a trance? She says, no. I said, so how come you remember exactly the words that you... So she says, are you kidding? He's a living master. All the psychics contact old dead neshamas and ask for advice. I'm the only one in my whole school who ever contacted a living master, neshama kloli. As soon as David left, I called my teacher. I said, I contacted a living master. I take out a picture of the Rebbe. She said, oh yeah, that's him. I said, okay, now I can go tell the story to everybody. Anyway, a few months go by. He calls me and he says, would it be terrible to ask the Rebbe for another blessing? I can't find a job. Why did he lose his job? Because when she was crazy, he tried to control her at night, and she beat him up. So he was up all night. He came to work the next day late with bandages. So they fired him. Anyway, I said, no problem. Give me your name and your mother's name. We'll write to the Rebbe. Write into the Rebbe.
Well, I thought that the OUD was the solution.
The what?
The OUD was the solution. The milk was the solution to him.
No, he needed a job.
What?
He needed a bracha for a job.
Wasn't the keeping Chol Yisrael?
That made her healthy. So he gives me his name and his mother's name. I write into the Rebbe. No answer. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, no answer. I keep calling. Any answer? Nope, no answer. After about a week, I call up, and Benjamin Klein answers. I said, is there an answer? He says, what should I tell you? The note is sitting on the table. I see it every day when I go in. It's sitting right there, and the Rebbe is not answering it. What can I tell you? I call back the next day. He says, yeah, the Rebbe wants to know her name and her mother's name. I said, why? He said, excuse me? I said, I'm sorry. Scratch that. Erase that one. I call her up. I said, I had forgotten her mother's name. I call her up to get her mother's name. She answers the phone, and as a joke, I said, how's your little dibuk? She said, it's fine. I said, wait, I was joking. What do you mean it's fine? I thought it was gone. She said, it's not mamish gone. It's very low, it doesn't bother me. I said, are you messing around with the milk? She said, I hate frozen milk. I said, you promised to do what the Rebbe said. She said, okay, fine, I'll do it. Anyway, call back the Rebbe with her name, told the Rebbe that she was messing around with the Chol Vakum, but he never got an answer. A year later, I'm in a store, and I meet David. I said, how are you? Where have you been? What's going on? He said, well, I couldn't stay in the States, so we went to Canada. And I worked there on getting papers, and now finally I have papers to be here, and I'm here legally, and I'm living whatever, doing whatever. And he says, and you'll be happy to know that we're divorced now.
Why?
I said, why would I be happy? He says, because I'm not Jewish. He came to Israel, learned Hebrew, went to the army. Everybody thought he was Jewish. He's not Jewish. So the name that he gave me for his mother was not her real name. So there was no answer. So part of what happened...
Why did he become Jewish? His wife was Jewish?
Yeah. So part of what the Rebbe did, besides healing her from the dibuk, he separated them. The truth came out, and he had to admit that he wasn't Jewish, so they got divorced. So she didn't get better completely until she stopped drinking Chol Vakum, because it really causes Timtum Halev. And he didn't admit the truth until she was feeling Jewish enough to know the difference. So that's my Chol Vakum story.
A Gut Voch mit Brache Hatzlache Yeshuos Refuos und Nachas und